Okay, how about now? Haha! The green bar, she moves. Hello! Sorry about that, I guess. Good old OBS seemed to think that I had some other microphone somewhere that I would be preferring to use right now. Hi, welcome back to Misty Mountain Streaming. I'm the D&D wannabe. My name is Rob, and this is going to be just a chill hangout stream like we haven't had on this channel for quite a while, as I just kick back and do some campaign planning, and we're gonna listen to some cool music. Maybe roll some dice. Maybe answer questions. Maybe talk a little bit. We shall see. Let's go ahead and get that good music started, shall we? People, please tell me if it needs to be turned up or down. That seems like it might be loud to me, but y'all are welcome to tell me. It doesn't look like it's coming through on my desktop audio, though. How interesting. Ah, how about that? That probably works. What is up with OBS right now? It forgot everything. Oh boy. Anyway, let's see who is hanging out while I await feedback on audio, video, technical difficulties. Let's see. I see Dabs is with us, as is good old Leo Yeager. Sarah is in the chat. Sam is in the chat. Hello. We also have... Oh, that's a little loud for me, so I'm turning it down for me. Commander Root and Hydra Chicken, haven't seen you guys in a while. Hello, welcome back. This is gonna be an interesting one. Just kind of hanging out. We don't often just hang out. I feel like it's been so long since we've talked. Anyway, there goes that joke. Let's see, what's up, Rob? You know, what's up, Rob? Today I went and celebrated my grandmother's 83rd birthday. We went to a local catfish joint and had some nice Alabama version of seafood, which isn't from the sea at all. Then I went with my dad and did some woodworking projects and came over here in time to eat some chicken and stream. And I got my coffee. It is only slightly Irish. And just going to enjoy that. Wow, last time I heard that was from my now ex. Oh no. Sorry for that flashback there, Dabs, my dear friend. Hey, Rifle Stud, how is it going? Where is your usual catchphrase? Hardly recognize it was you without the "What's up, nerds?" Ah, there it is. Dabs got it for you. Only slightly Irish. By my standards, it is only slightly Irish. Sorry, guys. I know the chat on screen is going to kind of suck. I've got white on white. Let me see if I can quickly change that before we get too deep in. Oh, y'all are gonna see behind the screens now. I forgot I'm sharing my browser here. That's fine. It's fine. I use Stream Elements. Big secrets. Ooh. Go to them good old text settings. Where's the color? There's the stroke. Can you tell I do this often? I do this for a living, guys. No, maybe just a nice background color will do it. Well, that kind of worked. Eh, good enough. There was nothing important in that corner anyway. Yes, behind the scenes of Rob's stream. How about that? There was I have all of 2 secrets, and neither of them are worth sharing on stream. I will get in trouble. Ah, okay. If y'all can hear me now and you have music going that is unobtrusive, then I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'll tell you guys a little bit about what we're up to tonight. Oh, I should do announcements first. It's so often not just me, you guys. I have so many people to keep me in line, it's great. Thank you to Kiwi of the Void and Subatomic Bottom Energy. Great name. JH5 Smith, all for the follows. Welcome to the party. We are MistyMountainStreaming. Oftentimes we tell and enjoy good stories around here, but right now I'm kind of critiquing one, so this will be fun and different and interesting. Also, thank you to people who have gifted subs or resubbed or subbed for the first time. This will include Leo Yeager here at the beginning of this stream. Thank you, bud. Dabs did it on Wednesday, as did Mud's Eye. Grimforge resubbed. Steadfast Samwise resubbed. Sarah gifted one. Irish Mac resubbed. Leo Yeager gifted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out on Wednesday. And Rob, Evelyn, and Irish also gave some out. You guys are so generous. I appreciate you guys very much, and thank most of you for returning here tonight. I've got Ty's little grumpy golem. Yep, that's him. With some dice inside in case anybody redeems the rollies. So I'm ready to go. I've got some of the uncommon channel point redeems going on right now for the Ask Me Anything and such as that. We've also got a magic item fund once again for the Monday Night Crew. If you want to spend your channel points towards getting a 4th magic item for the Monday Night Crew, you are extremely welcome to do so. I still owe them 2 from the last times because we haven't played in a couple of weeks. Also, my sub goal up in the corner, the opposite corner, that way. Yeah. That is for a stream takeover where somebody gets to decide what I do for a stream. It could be play one of their favorite video games. It could be play a different TTRPG than Dungeons & Dragons. It can be do it in a funny hat. Or, you know, as long as it's good with Twitch service and I can easily get it together or download the game or do something, I'm pretty much down for anything. I have very little shame. I see Leo Yeager has redeemed the rollies. So I got that die that I put in the Discord's Dice Show and Tell. So we're going to see how it treats me tonight. Ooh, Dab's got a 19? What the hell? Oh, no joke! I got you beat, Dabs. I can't do it. I'm just going to have to... That's not... Will you behave yourself this time, camera? Probably not. It's a 20, guys. It's a 20. My die... My camera hates these dice. Holy crap. Why didn't I save this? I could have saved this for next Wednesday. Dang it. It's okay. The universe owed me one. I never win these over on Eric's channel. Usually existential nerd. Well, good stream then. Good stream. We're off to a good start. Let's see. I feel like we are looping the same song here. Let's skip to the next one. It do seem to be looping that same song for me. Not an enormous fan of that. Give me just a second. Can you believe John pays me to be only this good at this stuff? It is difficult for me to believe as well. I don't blame you. Here you go. This one's called Dungeons and Dragons. I should note, we are listening to exclusively the works of one Sir Alexander Nakarada tonight. It is he who Steve discovered who does the intro and outro for our Bardic to Inspiration podcast. We are supporters of his on Patreon, and therefore can use his music wherever we want to. And man, he's got some cool stuff. We're doing exclusively the fantasy-themed stuff of his, but he has a lot. I'm a big fan of his piratey stuff. If only I ever did anything vaguely piratey, I would use more of it. Hey, Peyton, what's going on, buddy? Alright. Now I feel finally we can talk a little bit about what's on the screen. In case you're tired of looking at the words Goblin Ambush here, I'll scroll slightly. So, it has been laid upon my heart lately to run the very first published adventure for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, Lost Mine of Phandelver. Not Lost Mines of Phandelver, not anything else, not Lost Mines of Phandolin, which would have made a lot more sense, by the way, but the Lost Mine of Phandelver. It is a reasonably short adventure, probably takes people 5 or 6 sessions to play through. It took us a couple more than that because we're slow and roleplay-y. My brother actually was the one, Steve, my co-host on Bardic to Inspiration, was the one who ran it for us, and it was his first time running anything. And he complained to me during and after the campaign that there wasn't a lot to work with. That it was kind of the skeleton of an adventure. And it lacked some things that really would have given it some extra punch, that he really missed when running the game, and that we felt were absent when we were playing the game, I don't mind telling you. Was, when we got to the final encounter, it felt like a throwaway encounter. We didn't really know or appreciate who this figure was. It wasn't really, we didn't really care. And the mystique of the Forge of Spells, the thing behind this entire adventure, was just not impressed upon us as players. It wasn't made clear to us. Yes, I'm sure Steve could probably have gone through and added that stuff in, but it's a shame that it wasn't given there. And for the first adventure that many people ran in 5th edition, I think it needs some help. So that's kind of what I'm intending to do. Soon, on the channel, I will be running the Lost Mine of Phandelver. I'm going to change the name because I'm going to be changing its contents. But I'm going to be reading through Lost Mine of Phandelver for the first time tonight, along with you guys. And I got a brand new $1 Dollar General little yellow legal pad. I'm going to be taking some notes on some stuff that I would rather were different. Is the music a little loud again? It's a little loud for me. Mudzai says, I'm in that campaign right now, taking this a bit more than 5 sessions. If you see me getting into some stuff that's spoiler territory for you, I don't want to spoil anything for you. I really don't want to spoil anything for you. So, look away. Also, it's possible some of our players, our potential players from the Adventurers for Misty Mountain Gaming may tune in at some point tonight. Let's try not to spoil anything for them. I think I'm going to change it up enough to where it's not going to matter too much if they see what's on the screen, but if we start talking about it, maybe we'll throw something out there. Prismatic, hello, how's it going? Welcome and good evening. Okay, Mudzai. Well, glad you could join us for while you can. So let's have a sip of coffee. I'm going to go back to... No, I am going to start with this. The adventure hook, the running the adventure and whatnot is going to spoil a little bit for people, I think. So we are going to start with Goblin Arrows. Turn it down just a tad. I sure can. Let's turn it down for me as well as everyone else. Yeah, the different tracks will be more or less exciting than others. Since I don't plan on talking the entire time, I want there to be some music, but I want to be heard over the music when I do talk. Keep giving me updates as you need them. I will try and curate the experience to the best of my ability. Steadfast Samwise, think that campaign setting has good bones, but definitely needs some pizzazz. It sure, from my perspective, it sure does. And the thing is, this this adventure is meant to lead you into Storm King's Thunder, into Waterdeep Dragon Heist, into the Curse of Strahd games. It is meant to get you basically to level 3, so you can go have a different adventure. And, we might wind up doing something like that on the channel here, depending on how well it's received and how much fun we're having. Not 49er Steve Young. Hello, welcome. That's, I believe that's Dancer Hawk's new name. If that's you, Dancer, hello, and if it's not, hello anyway. Alright. You know what I think I'll do? Try and make that a little bigger for you guys, just in case anyone's trying to read along. So this is one of the first things that the adventure tells you is, whoever you are employed by, or preferably better than acquaintances, decent friends, with this fellow Gundren Rockseeker. He is dwarf, he is a miner, he is an explorer, he's an adventurer. And I want folks to have a compelling reason to know this character. I don't want him to just be forced NPC number 1. But I also don't want to take the time to go back in time and have an adventure establishing everyone's relationship with Gundren Rockseeker. But that is going to be the very first thing we put in this notebook is, why Gundren? So when I'm running this game, it seems fairly important to the rest of the adventure that people care about Gundren Rockseeker and what becomes of him. I see someone has redeemed a Rollies. And another 19 dabs? Come on, man. Leave some good rolls for the rest of us. Alright, well, my uppance has come. That is a strong 9 from me. 13 Prismatic. 15 from Dancer. Awesome. Yeah, I think Stabs is going to be the man to beat right now. It's nice to get to use my just me voice, if that makes any sense. My not talking to other people or trying to be entertaining voice. If you were sitting in my living room and we were talking, just you and me, this is how it would sound. Prismatic, you got a mostly lore session out of the way. I kind of love those. That's when the Dungeon Master kind of gets to finally talk about everything that they've been doing. All the stuff that they have planned, all the little presents they've made for their players. That is a lot of why I run D&D, is my campaigns are a gift I make for my players. It's why I don't run pre-written adventures all that often, is because that's like re-gifting. You know, I didn't have a hand in any of it. They help him deliver a load of ore. He takes them for drinks. They have such a good time. He asks them if they down for an adventure. Boom, boom. I've heard worse ideas, Peyton. That's not bad. It's the thing. Steve and I were talking about this the other day. Adventurer is not a full-time job. There's not always an adventure to go on. Between adventures, you might be a rat catcher, you might be a janitor, you might be a delivery boy, you might be a messenger. He's dealing with that a lot in a play-by-post game that he is doing. I've never done one successfully. And, yeah, being an ore delivery person for a few extra silver makes good sense. Icy is here with yet another rollies. Let's try another die. I have all of my dice that I own within reach of me today. Well, all the ones that aren't cheap plastic things. This is my former favorite set, still probably one of my favorite sets. And it gave me a 4. It is now my least favorite set. $17 from the dragons, 3 from the fangs. Oof. You gotta break them in, Lightning. One of my favorite little selling strategies at the booth when I go and work the conventions. If someone rolls from me, I ask them to hand a die to me, and I pretend to give it a very stern talking to, and then I roll it again. And it usually rolls better. Try that real quick, Lightning. See if you get better than a 3. Just give it a quick talking to, whip it into shape, maybe threaten its family slightly. See how we do. It's especially, I love that tactic, especially with kids. Hey, it improved is the important thing. It improved. Alright. Before continuing with the adventure, take a few minutes to do the following. Encourage players to introduce their characters, ask players to think about how they know Gundren, let them concoct their own stories, ask the players to give the party's marching order and how the characters are traveling. So, for a streamed game, all of this would be taken care of in a session 0. None of this would be done first session. But it's good that for the introductory adventure to all of 5th edition D&D, that they're kind of holding a new Dungeon Master's hand through all of this, saying, it's okay to think of this stuff on the fly. It doesn't really matter what your answer is, just stick with it and play it out. And that these things are important. Your character's relationships are important. Any character can drive a wagon, and no particular skill is necessary. Love that. Very true. You don't need land vehicle proficiency to drive a wagon. Prismatic Lightning just subscribed. Subscribe with Prime, the smart way. Thanks, Lightning. Oh, and hey, I beat Icy. I got a 4. I did beat somebody. I guess I beat Lightning too before I got advantage. Alright, so here's one of the things that I was considering. One of the first things that jumped out at me as we were playing through the campaign is the first thing that happens in the game. I mean, literally the first thing is you're supposed to get ambushed by goblins. And the reason for that seems to be, for the most part, so you can fight some goblins. Which is fine. You don't want to go too long in D&D without an encounter, because that's where a lot of your players' characters' abilities come into play, where they can do the stuff that they leveled up and got and are excited about, cast their spells and swing their swords. And I know why it's goblins, because there are other goblinoids elsewhere in the adventure. But why there are other goblinoids elsewhere in the adventure does not necessarily make sense. Given the other kinds of creatures that are in the adventure and how they are associated with one another, having these be goblins seems to be because they're goblins, and not because that makes any particular narrative sense. Goblins and kobolds are just kind of butt of the D&D joke. They always get the short end of the stick, I feel. Like, they show up when you're supposed to win an encounter. You know what I mean? I made my players fight monkeys that had jacked adventurer's gear. See, that's a better encounter to me than how goblins are being used here. It also makes a point of saying that the first thing is the goblins ambush them, which puts players on the back foot immediately. Players may or may not be surprised, but it's cooler to have your players succeed at something, like noticing that there's an ambush prepared, or having them not be put on the defensive from the get-go. There's no precedent in the adventure for, and as you are approaching, you hear goblins rustling around in the woods. You see that this area of the road has been trafficked recently by several tiny unshod feet and the like. I like this music. This is Forest Walk. Here's this little phrase. If in the unlikely event that the goblins defeat the adventurers, they leave them unconscious, loot them and the wagon, and then head back to Cragmaw Hideout. The characters can continue on to Phandolin and buy new gear at Barthen's Provisions, return to the ambush site, and find the goblins' trail. They have if they're looted, they have no money to buy new gear at Barthen's Provisions. And they didn't complete the delivery, so they're not getting paid when they get to Phandolin. Also, their employer is captured and presumed dead. The name is Alexander Nakarada, and it is spelled exactly like it sounds. He's pretty cool. I'm in his little Patreon Discord. He's a cool guy. A hero's love. What is happening? Are you preparing to adventure or helping potential DMs gain ideas? A little of the above, a hero, or love. A little of all of the above, love. We are talking about the Lost Mine of Phandelver, the original adventure for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, because I intend to run a version of it on our stream here at some point soon. And I think it needs some drastic improvements. So we're kind of talking about my thought process as I read this, perhaps accepting suggestions or input from the chat, answering questions about preparing for a campaign, and occasionally rolling dice when people redeem the channel point option. Could barter with Barthen that they will pay them back after retrieving their things. True, it's possible. Persuasive and trustworthy folk might find that simple to do. When we ran this encounter with me as a player, I got crit on the first round of initiative before my turn ever came up by a goblin, and I went down just immediately. Because you start off at level 1, a goblin can put you down with one hit, depending on what class you are and how much damage they roll. And that's what happened to me. So, it wasn't that unlikely an event. Alright, speaking of rolling, Prismatic wants us to go again. Let's try a new die. This is, I don't remember what this set is called. Just nice, simple gold, black metal D20. See how it do. I need to get my rolling tray out. That was a 5. Technically better than last time. Ooh, 17 from the fangs. That's an improvement. The first campaign Prismatic ever ran. Accidentally crit a player in the first combat and instantly killed them. Hope you stuck to your guns on that one. D&D is a game where there are hit points. And in a game where you have hit points, you can run out of them. That is part of the game. People get very precious in recent years as roleplay has become more of an emphasis with their characters. And I understand that, but I don't personally agree with it. At the end of the day, everything in D&D is made up. It is fantasy. It is immaterial. It is fiction. And, I mean, no one's really out anything if a fictional character dies. And it's a fantasy world. If you're really attached to that character, create the next one, go adventure, get to level 5 or 6 as a cleric, and bring them back, or get enough money and make enough friends so that someone else can, and keep adventuring with that character. It's all make-believe. It's a fantasy world where magic exists. If we pretend to listen to what the dice tell us to do, good and bad will happen. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Good to hear they had a backup character. Like that they have a little box talking about rests. That's good. So here's another thing. 4 goblins are hiding in the woods. They wait until someone approaches the bodies and then attack. Phandolin, which is the town they are going to, is not a frequently trafficked town. Not a lot of people go to there because it's a dead-end, backwoods, backwater kind of place. 4 goblins who are sitting and waiting for someone to come down the road are likely to be very bored. Do you know what I mean? Like, unless they know someone is about to be coming down that road, they're probably not going to be ready. They're probably not even happy to be there. It might be a waste of their manpower to be there. Maybe those goblins' talents are better served going and raiding Phandolin than sitting on the side of a road and ready to ambush people that may not go down this road. This track is Autumn Walk, which I love. I prefer very much to Fall Walk. The season is autumn. Fall is what the leaves do. It'd be more likely to be wild animals stalking prey. You know, because the overturned carts, dead horses, that's meat lying out there on the middle of the road. That is a fair assumption. That is a good point, Grim. This is why you're the dungeon master around here. So let's take this at its basic level, right? Gundren and his buddy Sildar are going to Phandolin, and they get jumped by some creatures. Maybe we'll still use goblins, maybe we'll use something else. They are being jumped on the road because they are expected. Someone knows they are coming, they know what they have on their person, which has not been made clear in this little section on the screen, but it is true later in the adventure. They targeted Gundren. They attacked, they killed his mode of transportation, they knocked them both out cold, or killed them, And they took the bodies and the loot to their hideout, wherever that is. They're done. They have no reason to come back. They have no reason to wait for an ambush. They leave the rotting meat and the wreckage of the cart and everything, and they abscond. Now, some wild animals come for the meat. They come for the horses. Some local wolves, or maybe a bear, maybe something. Something that the adventurers need to come and scare off, or fight. Probably scare off. Because animals so rarely fight to the death if they're not in a D&D game. As soon as they realize that they're not getting an easy meal, they're gone. So they scare off an animal or a pack of animals, and then they can investigate the scene, realize this is Gundren's cart, and he's missing, and so is his stuff. I like that much better. And just spitballing here, you could have it be like a legend in the little community. You know, if it's a bear, make it a big bear with a scratch over its eye, and it's mostly blind, and it's been there for ages, and it's old. And you get into town and you tell people the situation. They say, "Oh, you saw old Blinky? Man, that's an ornery beast. I'm surprised he let you go. If you see old Blinky again, you don't mess with him." Or whatever it is. You know, it doesn't have to be so throwaway. It can continue to build. It can continue to add to the story you're telling and the world that you're in. Just kind of need to decide what kind of beast lives in the forest. So the Forest of Phandolin, this is in the Sword Coast. This is south of Neverwinter, between Neverwinter and Waterdeep, I'm pretty sure. So, basically the kind of stuff that lives around where I live. So, you know, maybe a mountain lion. I think that'd be a panther stat block in here. And I don't plan on making it a very big encounter. Again, these guys are all level 1. You know, odds are if they wave their arms above their head and try and look big and make an intimidation check, the encounter's over. But I will make a note of that. Alright, so now we're skipping by Goblin Ambush. The Goblin Ambush has already happened, and they're going to loot this thing. Now, they're going to be they're going to be traveling to Phandolin with Gundren's cart, so they can't go chasing off after Gundren right now. Or it should be a concern if they did. Because they're going to leave 100 gold worth of supplies on the side of the road if they go chasing off into the woods after Gundren. Which they could do. This is D&D. You can do anything you want to do. But it may not be prudent of them to do so. And maybe people in town will have news, will have opinions, will have things to lead them in the correct direction. So if they take that path, they need to find that info. There needs to be somebody in town they could talk to that has an idea of what might have happened. Of course, they're going to have their own complications when they get into town, but we're going to scroll down to that, I think. Let's see. Alright, it is skipping down to Cragmaw if you follow the story progression as presented here. Which there's something to be said for that, too. If your friend is missing, you probably want to find out what happened to him, and it might not be too late to save him yet. So you find a goblin trail, and it looks like they trapped their trail. That's fine. What the goblins know. Divulge some useful information. "20 miles northeast of the Cragmaw Hideout. A long way on foot. Clark received a messenger for Goblin from King Roll. Told him that someone named the Black Spider was paying the Cragmaws to watch out for the dwarf, capture him, and send him and anything he was carrying back to King Roll. Clark followed the orders. Gundren was ambushed and taken, with his personal effects including a map." So here's the thing. Clark was paid by the Black Spider to take Gundren. What use? What use do goblinoids have of gold? If a goblin walks into town and tries to spend his gold, what is likely to happen to that goblin? Would their adventurers realize there was that much worth of goods? Probably, I think. There may even be... Some of them might have been with Gundren as he was provisioning this thing. Gundren probably impressed upon them, "Hey, I got 100 gold wrapped up in this cart. You better protect it with your lives and bring it safely to me. But I need to go ahead and take care of some stuff. And I need to go faster than this cart can travel, so I'm trusting you guys. I'll see you in Phandolin." Yeah, and the Sword Coast, yeah, no goblin. No goblin is interested in gold, so that makes me wonder, what does the Black Spider have that he could use as a bribe, if not gold, or get these goblins to do his bidding? Is it a magic item? Probably. Is it manpower? Is it land? Like, does he have, like, when I take over Phandolin, you guys can have XYZ. Whatever it is, it needs to be something that, just like gold, the adventurers can acquire for themselves if they defeat Clark or King Roll or whoever I wind up replacing these guys with. Doesn't tell me what King Roll is. Clark is a bugbear. King Roll is probably a hobgoblin or another bugbear. I don't know. I don't remember. Alright, this is the famous Cragmaw Hideout. This little dungeon was not bad in and of itself. These little choke points were a little dumb. A little inconvenient, a little noisy. I wonder if that is laid out for us down here, or if that was something that was clumsily handled by a first-time dungeon master. And I'm not getting on to Steve for any of this. It was his first time. He was just doing what the book told him to do, and he was kind of out of his comfort zone when it didn't tell him to do anything particular. But that's why I want to improve this module. Hey, Irish, how's it going, buddy? Good hanging out with you. How's it going? Alright, Now we are on Nowhere Land by Alexander Nakarada. This is from the Fantasy Fair album of his. Cave mouth. There's nothing wrong with the cave mouth. I'm going to skip that. Goblin guard post at area 2. Okay. Goblins open fire with their bows, shooting through the thickets and probably catching the players by surprise. More goblins and more surprise. Characters moving carefully or scouting ahead might be able to surprise the goblin lookouts. Thickets are difficult terrain, but they aren't dangerous. They provide half cover. Creatures behind them. So here we have wolves. So we know there are wolves in this forest. They're being trained for battle. They can't reach targets standing on the steps, but they attack any creature except a goblin that moves into the room. Character who tries to calm the animals can attempt an animal handling check. Feed the wolves. DC drops. That's good. Nothing wrong with any of that. Narrow opening. Oop. Icy has redeemed rollies yet again. Let's try another die. See if it can roll above a 5 for me. These are the black bard dice I bought for Cheshire. Oh, you're going to be a best man at a wedding, Irish? Congratulations. I have never been that. I have given toasts at weddings, though. That's fine. I have been an officiant. That is a 6, nope, 15 for me. Paint kind of came off with a 5 there. You just got your dice today. How nice. When you're not busy, send us some pics in the Discord, my friend. Unless you already have, in which case, thank you for the pics in the Discord. Driven into a frenzy that allows them to rank the out. Characters without dark vision will need light. That is a thing. Glad they brought it up. The ledge between the escarpments. Doesn't tell us how high the escarpments are. That's supposed to be this. 2d6 bludgeoning damage is 20 feet. That's pretty steep. Good bit of bludgeoning damage. If I run that, I would probably reduce that damage. 2d6, even if you can half it, is a lot for making a mistake when you're level 1. And level 1 in a dungeon full of goblins and wolves. And a bugbear. Flood threatens all creatures in the tunnel. Creatures on the bridge are out of danger. That is a bit of an issue as well. The goblins have this cool flood apparatus set up. Scroll back up to the map here. So, if a guard up here on the bridge notices people traveling up the tunnel, he will alert people over here to release this pool of water and flood this chamber, pushing anyone in here out. And if that doesn't push everyone out of the hideout, they will tear down this dam and do it a second time. It does hurt people a little bit when that happens, but there is no backup plan in the adventure. It doesn't say, and then the goblins run out to finish off and loot anything that was washed away. It doesn't say, and then the goblins go and warn Clark or any other goblins in the area. It just says, if it didn't flush him out the first time, try again. I don't like that. That is not fun. Being washed down a short tunnel and being told to go to jail, do not pass go, do not collect $200 is not fun. Just inconvenient. So I would not do that. I would do something. You'll have to decide what that will be. See, that's all it is. A strength saving throw. Or be knocked prone and washed down to Area 1, the entrance of the tunnel, taking a d6 of bludgeoning damage. Yeah, exactly. Acting like the adventurers needed a double flush. It's not exciting. It's not compelling. It's just literally a waste of time. It does hurt them for 1d6, but a goblin with a bow who is on guard could go get 3 other goblins and deal 3d6 every turn. You know what I mean? It's just not a good use of their time. And there's 6 goblins in the next area. And hang on, 6 goblins there. There's 3 goblins. Let's get a little tally going here. In the cave, there is 2 goblins outside. 1 goblin on guard. 3 wolves. 3 goblins in Area 7. 6 goblins in Area 6. 2 goblins and Clark. And an extra wolf in this dungeon. So coming off of, presumably, an encounter with 4 goblins, if the characters run straight here, they're going to face a total of 17 goblins, 4 wolves, and 1 bugbear. A level 1 barbarian, the healthiest class in D&D, could reasonably be expected to have 15 hit points. A goblin deals about 5 damage per hit. And with their +4 to hit, a lot of D&D characters at level 1 with starting equipment are probably going to be hit. And you're in the dungeon, you're probably not going to have a lot of opportunities to take a short rest. Right? Like, this is a living, breathing place. The goblins are moving around, they're going to check on so-and-so, they're getting into a fight with somebody and storming off. They're going to notice that their guards are missing. You know, the next shift is going to come around while someone's taking a short rest. That is a lot of goblins for a level 1 party. Not to mention the wolves, not to mention the bugbear. So, how does Wizards of the Coast provide for this for you? Let's see. If Clarg is warned by the goblins in Area 7 that their hideout is under attack, he and his wolf ride behind stalagmites while goblins take cover, increasing their armor class, behind the piles of supplies, hoping to ambush the characters when they enter the cave. More ambushes. How many ambushes do you want in your first session and a half? Because this adventure assumes you want 4. And I'm all for role-playing the bad guys intelligently. This is a lot of bad guys to be role-playing intelligently for a level 1 party. Easiest way for the characters to achieve this is to climb the chimney from Area 3, since Clark doesn't expect an attack from that direction. Good thought. That's fine. If the wolf is killed, the bugbear attempts to climb down the chimney and flee the cave complex. So the leader's going to leave. A bugbear is a problem for a level 1 adventuring party. Let's check out a bugbear real quick. 27 hit points, 16 armor class. Can deal an extra 2d6 damage. An extra 7 damage. The first round of combat. If you surprise a creature. And it's a brute, so it's dealing an extra damage die every time it hits somebody. If Clark hits any level 1 player, they're probably falling unconscious. They just are. He's just as stealthy as the goblins. He's got a +6. So tell me if I'm crazy. This is not my idea of a level 1 adventure. What do y'all think in the chat? Am I trying to be too nice to the players? I mean, granted, our party survived it. It wasn't pretty. And it came down to me. We got rid of 6 goblins thanks to a minor illusion spell fooling a room full of goblins into thinking that we had an army walking up the tunnel. Hello, by the way, looking at who is in the chat here, I see Overnumerousness has joined us. Hello, buddy. Cup of Tiefling. Hello again. I think bugbears are a product of the CR not being a great formula. I agree. CR kind of sucks. Yes, Cam, son of Ander. We're talking about the Lost Mines of Phandelver right now. I'm planning to run a version of the Lost Mine of Phandelver on stream. I've never run it. I've only played in it. And my impression from that was that the Dungeon Master was playing from behind, playing the game as written. And so that it needed some drastic improvements. So we're going through it and seeing what we can change. We've already changed the Goblin Ambush for the better, I would argue. And I like this map, and I want to use this map. But our goblins, wolves, and a bugbear, much less 22 of them, the best thing for a level 1 encounter. I'd be very curious to hear if you changed it up at all, and how so. Specifically in the earlier stages. We're saving the later parts of the adventure for off-stream, so that we don't spoil anything for anyone. So let's have a look at Sildar. They can meet Sildar Hallwinter and rescue him. Lord's Alliance. See what Sildar is packing here. So Sildar is exactly as healthy and protected as Clark is. Because he is weakened at 1 hit point because he's been beaten and tormented. See, rescuing Sildar would almost be your win condition for this dungeon. He's got 1 hit point, but he makes 2 melee attacks. He's probably not got any of his gear. He's probably not still wearing his chainmail. If I were to be thinking logically, that's probably on Clark now. He can parry. He's strong. Got multi-attack. With him being at 1 hit point, he's a liability. So that I think is a thing I will do. Is he's been beaten and tormented by goblins, but maybe he's a good actor. Maybe he seems more hurt to the goblins than he actually is. Maybe he's playing unconscious so they don't mess with him as much. Maybe he got a short rest out of it. When you find and rescue Sildar, which should be a priority for the adventurers who are coming in here to save somebody, the objective of this dungeon is not kill the bugbear. It's find out what happened to our friends and rescue any of them that are still alive. So when you find Sildar, he's going to be healthy enough to help and not need his hand held. That said, he's probably going to be looted and unarmed, and maybe the adventurers will want to go find his equipment, or they'll have to give him their backup weapon. So he's probably not fighting at full strength, but he's a help. Sildar would dissuade adventurers from poking the bugbear. I think that's fair to say. Because while the adventurers are level 1, Sildar has 27 hit points. That's 5d8 plus 5. That implies he's a level 5 something. In fact, looking at the fact that he makes 2 melee attacks, and is proficient with longswords and heavy crossbows and can wear chainmail, Sildar is probably kind of a crappy level 5 fighter. Like, that is his equivalent. One who did not stack into Constitution or Strength. He's only got a 13 Strength. And he is a member of the Lord's Alliance, so he's probably of the opinion, you know, let me go back to town, let me get some of my boys, and we'll come and we'll clear this thing out. Like, you've done your part, thank you for rescuing me, I couldn't have done it out to you, I was as good as dead in there. No need to risk your life any further. Besides, our mutual acquaintance Gundren is in trouble, and here's what I know. So let's go back to Goblin Arrows here. What Sildar knows. Sildar has a contact in Phandolin named Yarno. Good to know. I appreciate them putting in the NPC party members paragraph here. I have long decried the NPCs, and these are some good guidelines to prevent Sildar from becoming one of those. Hey, good night, Payton. Thank you for hanging out with us, my guy. Looking forward to, what is it, 9 days from now? 10 days from now when we get to play together? Should be fun. No one's a newbie forever, Dabs. Don't let it bother you. I'm glad you're here, whether or not you're chat. This is a chill night. Don't worry about it. If the wolf is killed, the bugbear attempts to flee. That is really weird win condition. I think there should be a win condition for this dungeon, but I think it should be killing Clarg and the goblins fleeing, not killing the wolf and Clarg fleeing. Because the goblins suck compared to bugbears. People are capable of taking down a bugbear. Who knows what else they might be capable of. Goblins don't know how many hit points the player characters have. If they're capable of killing their boss, done deal, you know? If you clear the hideout, you advance to level 2. Alright, let's have a look at Phandolin. This, I think... Hey, Eric, how's it going? Welcome, welcome. Phandolin is kind of one of the parts that I thought needed the most work. It has a hook for every faction that 5e has been ramming down our throats for the Lord's Alliance, the Emerald Enclave, the Harpers, the Zentarim, and the Order of the Gauntlet. But they're just there to be contacts for those things. If you plan to play from this adventure into another one, and you want to get in good, or have an enemy in one of those factions, that's kind of the only reason that it seems like these people are here. And I'd love for them to be more than that. So let's have a look here. Dabs, I have the movie for you, man. It's one of my favorites of all time. The Emperor's New Groove. Check that one out if you haven't yet. Llamas feature heavily. Hundreds of years ago, the old Phandolin was a tiny town. Last 3 or 4 years, hardy settlers from the cities of Neverwinter and Waterdeep have begun the hard work of reclaiming the ruins. A bustling frontier settlement has grown up on the side of the old town. If you play it this way, then it does make sense for the goblins to be ambushing. But when we ran the adventure, it didn't seem like there was a bunch of coming and going. In fact, it was kind of like the Rockseeker brothers had found this thing on the sly. Like, no one had a reason to be going out here. So that's probably how I would play it too. Just like, this is a nowheresville, disconnected little town, rather than a bustling frontier settlement. It also makes sense that a brigand gang, like we're about to be encountering, could take over a place like this, kind of beneath the radar of some of these other factions. Like the Lord's Alliance that Sildar represents might want to get involved if a bustling frontier settlement has a band of brigands running it. But no one would care if a backwater hamlet has a bunch of yahoos running the joint. Yes, I agree that is the intent, Cam. Cam says that bugbears are creatures who flee when outmatched. Valid. I think most creatures in D&D should be creatures that flee when outmatched, by the way. Controversial opinion. So if Clarg relies on the wolf to set up his attacks, then he'd run. But I also think it's a win condition in the den to keep Clarg from doing a little TPK. I agree. I just think that what is a wolf? Wolves are freaking weak, dude. If a 27 hit point creature is scared when an 11 hit point creature gets taken down that does 2d4 damage when he does 2d8, like that does not say outmatched to me, if you know what I mean. So I agree with the premise, but I think Clark's an idiot. If killing one wolf, after having gotten through all the goblins to get here, if killing one wolf is the deciding factor for I should run. More like, if somebody makes it through all of his goblins and enters his throne room, maybe he should already be thinking about running. If that is his mentality. Eric, we are trying to gently overhaul the Lost Mine of Phandelver adventure. For future streaming, hopefully. But this module needs a lot of help, is our impression. The wolf setting up attacks, if the wolf knocks somebody prone, the goblins just break cover, run up with some short swords, I think is what goblins have, scimitars, and end that thing. Whoever's unlucky enough to get dragged down, every goblin jumps in and kills that guy, and it's over. Done. Wolves are dangerous in D&D. Especially when they have friends. Nothing. Goblins have nimble escape. I don't know, man. I don't know about it being goblins still in this cave. I think the whole reason they want goblins at the ambush, and the whole reason they want goblins in this place, in the hideout, the whole reason they want goblins in the encounter is so they can be goblins. I don't think there is a grander reason in the narrative, and maybe I will find one as I read, that they are there, except that they are goblins. I think we can do better. Pack tactics is bad, and that is why I have never mentioned throughout doing this, you know what we should do instead of goblins? Kobolds. Because you know what? Kobolds suck. I'm actually writing an article right now for the dungeon feed on the Misty Mountain Gaming website about how kobolds are being underutilized and what they're good for and why you should be scared of them and why how you may be missing some roleplay opportunities with them. It's part of the new Monsters Mastered series that I'm doing. We've already got orcs up there. Now we're going to be doing kobolds. Red Brand Ruffians. Of all of the things in this adventure, as written, the Red Brands are probably my favorite part. They are the most conceptually tight group of enemies. They feel important. You feel good for handling them. Yeah, I like them. I don't think I'm going to be changing much about the enemies in Phandolin. Antagonists, rather. There's a roll, these guys, if you have a d20 handy. See if we can beat Eric. There's a d4 missing from this dice box. Oh, no. No, not a d4. In the wrong slot. A d8. Even worse. I have to look in the car for that later. This is the one I use for Cheshire's Flaming Scimitar. Ooh, I did alright that time, guys. I got an 18. Oh, how well they're going to show up. My orange and yellow and black Halloween-y looking dice. 18's the number to beat, boys and ghouls. Important NPCs. We got Innkeeper, the General Store Clerk, Lenine Greywind. I felt like she had more potential than we got into when I played this. Order of the Gauntlet member with a quest. Member of the Zentarum, with a quest. Harper agent with a quest. Lord's Alliance member with quests. All quests. Thug is a broken intro humanoid enemy because of pack tactics. A simple bar fight turns into a bloodbath. I agree. I kind of like bandits for that reason. Let's have a look at Thug, since you brought it up. So, first of all, Thug, CR 1/2 creature, has 3 times the hit points that any single level 1 character is going to have, unless they're a barbarian or unless they stacked con. Very easy to hit, however, 11 armor class. Pack tactics is tough, though, and multi-attack, even if it's just a d6 plus 2, that's a d6 plus 2 probably twice per turn. And since they have pack tactics, they're probably going to be hit hitting because they have advantage on all of their attacks. So that's a tough one. You wouldn't have a thug as the rank and file for a low-level encounter. The thug is maybe the in charge of a group of bandits or villagers or guards. A thug could take down a guard as they're statted out in 5e. You could probably take 2 or 3 by themselves. Let's have a look at bandit real quick for comparison's sake. That was not how you spelled bandit. There you go. See, this is more what I expect you to go up against. Fairly equivalent hit points to a player character at first level, a single attack, a low damage roll, a d6 plus 1, low armor class, easy to hit, no particular skills. This is a good stat block. So what is it telling us that the Red Brand Ruffians are going to be? Red Brand Ruffians get their own stat block. How about that? Studded leather armor. Red Brand's shelling out. 2 melee attacks. Presumably the characters have gone to the hideout and are level 2 by now, so about the same hit points as a player character. 2 attacks, though. No class is going to have 2 attacks. They might have 2-weapon fighting. They won't have 2 attacks. Dabs, thank you for the gifted sub to Cam Son of Ander. There we go. We got a little bit closer to our stream takeover goal. Thank you, Dabs. Generous of you. I never ran Avernus, Cam. I'm not sure. Probably not going to. I typically don't like... We were talking at the beginning of the stream. I typically don't like running pre-written adventures. I really enjoyed Curse of Strahd, but that was about it. And that is mostly because I like vampires. So the ruffians are a little tough, but they've got to be a little tough to be running this town. I would probably throw some bandits in, just for a little bit of variance sake. Maybe, I don't know how many ruffians they intend to have the party taking on at a time. I'll have to give that a look. But I don't want while every encounter should have the possibility of a player character death or a TPK. Like, if the dice just completely betray them, a Dungeon Master needs to be willing to obey the dice and let a character fall if that is the way that the story goes. But I don't think every encounter should be deadly. And a lot of what this adventure has lined up so far is deadly to low-level players. So that's one of the reasons we're looking it over in advance. Spending a little time in the common room chatting up the townspeople can provide the characters a number of good leads to explore the town. The rumors at the inn are good. It's a good way to get people interested in things. It's an easy way for players to get in over their head if they follow the wrong tip. It's good nonetheless. storekeep considers Gundren a friend and was excited by talk of discovering the lost mine of Phandelver's pact in the nearby hills. So has Gundren been mouthing off around Phandolin about finding this stuff? The Black Spider had to find out somehow. People don't typically leave Phandolin if it's not a bustling frontier town. So maybe it's kind of safe to talk about it here. Maybe not that he's found it, but he was looking for it. Let's say that. Gundren and his brothers were drinking over at that Sleeping Giant Inn in town once upon a time, and somebody let it slip that that was their intention being here. So the town knows. But supposedly people outside the town don't. An old retired adventurer who is a member of the Order of the Gauntlet asks the adventurers to go find out what's up at Old Owl Well. And there is no incentive for them to do so, other than the prospect of adventure. They don't know Darren. They have no reason to do what he wants them to do. Other than being a member of the Order of the Gauntlet, Darren doesn't serve a particular purpose to this adventure. He has information that other NPCs could also have. I like that there's stuff going on around Phandolin. And the situation going on at the Old Owl Well, I think, is interesting. That's one of the things that I think was the only thing that my party did of these little side quests when I played through the adventure. But there's got to be a reason. It has to serve the story in some way. It can't just be another thing to do. In a campaign, you can have all manner of things to do. You know, you go over there and you get a magic item out of it, and then you come back. But in a finite adventure, something at the tower should feed back into the main story. Or going to the tower should be at the behest of someone of consequence. Like, you're going to get something out of it. And this Old Owl Well just doesn't seem to fit those criteria. See, if the party deals with the red brands and investigates Old Owl Well, he privately approaches certain members of the group to urge them to join the Order of the Gauntlet. That's all they get out of it. Is you get to be a member of a club that doesn't matter to this story. So the Lion Shield Coster sells weapons and adventuring gear and armor. She won't sell it to the Red Brands, but I feel like the Red Brands would probably just take without asking politely. And the most recent shipment of her armor and weapons were taken by the goblins, and they're at the Cragmaw Hideout. So the goblins at the Cragmaw Hideout ought to have good adventuring gear and quality weapons. Because that's where the shit is. Whatever is at the Cragmaw Hideout, whether or not it's goblins. If you get a box full of big, shiny swords, you're not going to use your crappy scimitars. And that could be a fun element, too, is fewer enemies in the Cragmaw Hideout, but they're decked out in, like, gleaming breastplates. And one of them has a longsword, one of them has a spear. You know, they have various weapons. Every goblin feels unique because they all got kitted out with different stuff from the Lion Shield Coster shipment. I think you could serve the story if you want to. What I like about things like this is that the party doesn't explore it, then something happens. They're putting agency with the DM to make it relevant to a broader storyline. I agree. The intent for modifying this particular adventure is not necessarily for it to serve a broader storyline. I want it to be open to that. But I don't want to promise anything that I'm not going to follow up on. If we don't wind up having a lot of fun with this campaign, if we don't wind up wanting to continue, or if something happens in the lives of the players, I want to put a neat ribbon on it at the end, rather than not. We'll see. I'm not opposed to it, but I do want to include the Harper agent. I think that's a good shtick. I want to include the Zentarum agent. I think that's a good shtick. We're including Sildar. He's a Lord's Alliance agent. But the Emerald Enclave and the Order of the Gauntlet, they don't have a particular place, per se, in what's going on with all of this, at least not so far as I've read. So if the Order of the Gauntlet doesn't have a reason to be in Phandolin, Yes, it's the Timora priestess. It's a quick opportunity to make 500 G, or 50 G rather. I like that. See, the Miners Exchange being run by a Zentarum agent is great. I love the Zentarum. See, Halia has all the information that Darren has, and then some. And she has a actionable quest that is tied to the rest of the story, dealing with the Red Brands. I love that. It's a good shtick to depose the head of a bandit organization and then try and recruit all of the disenfranchised Red Brands into becoming Zentarum agents. It's just wonderful. The Zentarum to me are like the anti-Acquisitions Incorporated. They're just, and I suppose they're really supposed to be the anti-Harpers. Instead of quality few, they are a undiscerning many. But I love them anyway. Radoth the Druid. Let's have a quick look at what's up with Radoth. Song is Towards the Horizon. I'm kind of a fan of it. It's good thinking music. So Radoth does know where Wave Echo Cave is. So having a local druid be impressed, that's a decent enough hook for the Emerald Enclave. And he serves a purpose. If the players choose not to go and find Gundren's map, Radoth can take them to Wave Echo Cave. So I will absolutely leave in Radoth Thunder Tree. That sounds like fun. I always regretted not going to Thunder Tree in our adventure. I thought that was the part that I would enjoy the most. Yeah, I agree, Cam, and that's why we're here tonight. See what's worth keeping. So see, here's the sort of thing. If we really wanted to keep Old Owl well, Garael? I don't know how to say that name. Garael? Garael. Sister Garael's superiors asked her to undertake a delicate mission to answer a question about the spell book of Bowgentle. That, and the adventure says, oh, well, it left years ago, and all you have to do is go tell this Harper lady that it left years ago, and she's going to thank you, and the Harpers will continue their investigation. All is well and good. Just kind of a weird wrap up to that thing. Or you could say, oh, well, the Banshee Agatha tells you that it's at Old Owl Well, but that it's guarded right now by some undead. You take that back to Sister Garelli, whatever. Sister G. You take that back to Sister G, and then maybe she'll accompany you out to Old Owl Well and try and find out what the hell is up. Garel. Not a lot, especially if it's just serving as a one and done. I don't know. I think there's lots of room for improvement. And there was one bit there. Orcs near Wyvern Tor. So here's the obligatory orcs in an adventure. We've already had our goblins and our wolves. Arbin's looking for someone to head east on the Tribor Trail, where travelers have reported trouble with a band of orcs near Wyvern Tor. The party pursues this quest. See Wyvern Tor in Part 3. Why do we also have orcs? I like the reference to the Mini Arrows tribe. That's a good bit of D&D lore. It's just put in there for no reason. I love it when we come across things like that. So the orc camp is just... Look at all this they have for Thunder Tree. And this is it for Wyvern Tor. There's some treasure. They complete a quest for the town master. And it delivers on a promise to Hayman Coast at Old Owl Well. Right, because the guy at Old Owl Well wants you to take out the orcs at Wyvern Tor too. This is extremely superfluous. Like, it's good D&D, right? It's go kill the orcs and get money. But it has nothing to do with the story. It's the side questiest side quest you'd come up with. It is on par with go into the basement and kill rats. Now, if it was hobgoblins or bugbears or something, you could tie that back into Cragmaw. You go to this place and maybe thin the ranks before you head to Cragmaw Castle. There's not a map for it. There's no items here. There's no info here. Just loot. Apparently Cam had a good time with it. Running it, though. I love orcs. I wrote an article recently about how they're underutilized. A little bit of a waste of them. Anyway, we're getting sidetracked. Let's get back to Phandolin. We'll be wrapping up here in a little bit. Sildar rewards the party with 200 gold pieces for eliminating the Red Brand threat. Where is Sildar getting that money, yo? He was looted and beaten up in a cave when we last saw him. That reward needs to come from somebody else. Dab says, thanks for letting me lurk and learn, but I gotta head out as I have work early in the morning. Peace, love, and the most positive of vibes. P.S. the dragon say 15. Let's roll again. I'm running out of new d20s to roll. This is the Blade of the Maiden. Blade of the Holy Knight set. This is the first metal dice set I got from Misty Mountain Gaming. It's gorgeous. Every engraved bit on this die is iridescent. I love it. I got an 8. I hope I have some modifiers. Felt like they were doing something actionable instead of going on investigation or fetch quests. I mean, it's uncomplicated. You got me there. There's no moral compunctions. There's no failed checks. There's just go in and kill some things. There's something to be said for that. Like I said, it's good old D&D. When you're ready to just go and muck up some orcs, Wyvern Tor is there for you. So the red brands. Does it ever explain where they come from? It says Glassstaff creates them. Glassstaff is from the Lord's Alliance previously. They can't be with the Zentarum, because the Zentarum wants to take them. Is it local boys? Are they accepting new members? Adding the ranks? Most people know about D&D from a newbie perspective is roll dice, kill monsters. It's true. My player pool is exclusively people not new to D&D as it stands right now. I do plan to run D&D for people who have never played before on the channel very soon. But I'm planning to run something bespoke for them rather than this adventure. Alright. 4 red-brown ruffians. That's 8 attacks per round. Dang. Probably nerf that. Even if they are level 2, that's a lot. It's twice as many attack as a 4-player party has. Maybe 1 ruffian and a handful of bandits. Character funnels. You should, if you haven't played Dungeon Crawl Classics, you'd probably like it. Well, I think Dabs won our rollies there. Hello, Zach. How's it going? I'm sorry I missed you there. Welcome to the chat. My uncle is a huge fan of Dungeon Crawl Classics. I think he would happily play that over any other system because it is so legalized in every regard and yet so random. There's very little control offered to the players of Dungeon Crawl Classics. You roll dice and the dice tell you, like, every action has multiple outcomes. It looks like hell to play and run because of all the tables for everything. But if you want to let go of the story and let the dice tell you every little thing that happens, regardless of your intention, it seems really fun. Just see where the dice take you. I remember really liking this dungeon. A lot. I think before I get started into this dungeon, though, we've been going for a couple of hours already. I think this is probably a good place to stop. Yeah, because there's not going to be a stopping point in all of this before we begin to that. The stuff we've taken down, since we began this little thing is, and forgive my notes, why Gundren? What makes him significant? We need to come up with an established reason for the player characters, something more important than I worked for the guy once or twice before I did a favor with him where he's offering to pay me. Something that makes you actually care about his fate. We can do better than an ambush on the Tribor Trail. We determined that wild animals going after the horse meat was a better option because there's no reason for goblins to be lying in ambush on that trail when they've already laid their trap for Gundren. That was the reason they were there. Anything else is just excessive and nonsensical. That Sildar needs to have some resources at his disposal and probably advise escape when encountered and rescued in the Cragmaw Hideout. That killing Clarg should end the encounter for the rest of the cave, rather than killing a wolf telling Clarg to run. That the Rockseekers searching for the Spellforge is common knowledge in Phandolin. That the Old Owl Well and the NPC Darin are probably worth omitting, as is Wyvern Tor. If we want them to just have a fight, we can have them have a fight. In fact, I think that's what the Red Brand encounter in the town is meant to be for. Just kill some people. Cragmaw Hideout inhabitants have quality Lion Shield Coster weapons, armor, and gear, instead of typical monster accoutrement. We need to answer the question, where do the Red Brands come from? Because the adventure does not. And that the Red Brand Ruffians encounter needs to be nerfed a little bit, even for a level 2 party. So, you know, that's a good use of 2 hours. Figuring all of this out will set us up for success for the first 2 or 3 sessions, I think, of this game whenever we eventually run it on the stream. I may come back and take a closer look at some of the other chapters of this, some of the other encounters, some of the dungeons, and talk a little bit with people who are interested in modifying modules about ways that you can handle that and mix up maps and change the nature of traps and enemy numbers and enemy equipment. If you guys are interested in that kind of thing, let us know in the Discord. Let me pop the Discord link down into the chat here. I think everyone who's hanging out with us tonight is already in there, but you never know, and people might watch the VOD. Yeah, if this is something you like, let's do it again. I like doing this stuff. I do this stuff on my free time when the cameras are off. What other things to talk about? This Monday, we're finally getting back to Bleakhaven and Broken Hearts. We left it on a cliffhanger almost a month ago. And then the vagaries of life have determined that we should not play that campaign for the last couple of weeks. So we're very excited to get out of where we left it and move on with the campaign. This coming Wednesday, will continue to be the Wild Beyond the Witchlight. Then we'll see where things go from there. Maybe in the next few Fridays, we will be able to start this campaign. We're kind of getting players together for it in our private Discord now. It was nice chatting with you, Cam. Seeing how I see things. Hopefully one day I'll get the chance to join in the fun here on the stream. Man, I'd love that. Do keep hanging out and reaching out. I know you're well connected to the stream from this place or that, and that people associated with me have a very high opinion of you. So it would be nice to get you around sometime. It has been impressed upon me, your significance and history as a dungeon master. Let's see, who else stuck it out with us here? Sam, Vile, Rob, nice that all of you guys stayed. Dancer's still here, Mud Eye's still here, Lightning, both of Icy's account, Leo, Cuppa, thank you guys all for continuing to hang out with us. Appreciate you guys turning out. I'm going to try and find us somebody to raid. If you're not done watching and chilling for the evening, find out what else is going on here. Let's see. You know what? Eric seems to be streaming over on the Football Absurdity channel here on Twitch. Let me copy that real quick. Nope, can't. That's fine. Never mind it. Oh yeah, that's good old Sophie talk. Uh, Football Absurdity. The reason I'm sending you guys over there is to say hello to our good friend Eric Bra, League of Legends voice actor and incredible human being. They deal with fantasy over there, but it is not fantasy role-playing games. It is fantasy football. And if you are into that kind of thing, stick around. If you're not into that kind of thing, they're still funny and hilarious comedic personalities. And if you're not into that kind of thing, just say hi to Eric before you go. I would appreciate it. So, guys, thank you guys for spending the evening with me. I'll see you guys on Monday. Until then, farewell and Godspeed, friends and adventurers. And if you don't hear it anywhere else this week, I love you guys. Have a good weekend.